folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here, back with another rankings video. So, I've waited quite a while to do this one, but this rankings video is to rank all the expansion packs, in my opinion, from worst to best. So, I've done those for the stuff packs and game packs already, so I'll leave links to those videos in the video description below if you want to watch those. But yeah, I'm really glad that I did wait to do this because this year we ended up getting 2 expansion packs instead of just 1. So we got Seasons and Get Famous. So yeah, I'm going to rank all of these from worst to best. And I do want to emphasize though, these are my opinions. This is not some sort of general community consensus as to which expansion packs are factually the best. No, that's not it at all, because I did get comments from people attacking me on the previous 2 videos, acting like as if I was declaring my opinions are facts, and they're not. This is just a video where I'm stating my opinions on what I think of the expansion packs. So you might agree with some of them, you probably won't agree with all of them. But without further ado, let's get into the rest of the video.
Number 6.
Get Together. Yep, that's right. Get Together is at the bottom of my list, not Get to Work. It is kind of interesting. It seems a lot of people have changed their minds about Get Together since it was first announced, but with me, no, it hasn't really changed all that much. It is kind of interesting. Like, Get Together, I feel like, should have just been a game pack, really. I mean, I think the only reason Get Together ended up being a full expansion pack is because of the size of its new world, Windenburg. And that's actually my favorite thing about this pack, not the clubs, which is the main feature. Windenburg, yes, definitely still one of the best worlds for The Sims 4 so far. There's just so many places to go and explore, and I love the whole European aspect of it, and the neighborhoods that we have are some of the largest in the game so far. I like the natural pools and some of the build items and create a sim items, but the reason why Get Together is at the bottom for me is that it really does feel like a game pack with a large world. The clubs I don't think were really worth highlighting a whole expansion pack over. They're alright. I use them sometimes for like bowling clubs and just sometimes to just gather sims in my game of similar interests together, but I don't know, I really don't feel like there was enough content in this expansion pack. I think there could have been more. I'm not saying, oh, put restaurants and vampires in it, because I think they did end up working better as separate game packs, but yeah, I feel like there could have been a bit more to it for the $40 price tag. Maybe more romantic interactions and more activities, including bowling. That would have been a great fit had they not made it a whole separate stuff pack, as I don't feel like that got much benefit from it being standalone besides bowling being a more detailed skill. So all in all, while there are some good things about Get Together, I feel like the other expansion packs out right now outshine it.
Number 5.
Yep, Get to Work still ended up pretty low on my list, but higher than Get Together. So, Get to Work, it's a pretty interesting first expansion pack for The Sims 4, because I still remember before this expansion pack was announced, there was so much demand for an open for business type of expansion pack, like what we had in The Sims 2. And we did get that in a way, but it was more like a merger between open for business and the Ambitions expansion pack from The Sims 3, where we got 3 new active careers. We got the detective career, we got the doctor career, as well as the scientist. And then we got the ability to run our own retail stores, and that last one is probably my favorite part of this expansion pack, since yeah, I did want open for business back very badly as well. Retail and Get to Work isn't everything that I wanted, but definitely got a lot closer. I do wish that we were able to run businesses directly from home, but I'm still really glad that we have retail shops back, and I really do like some of the stuff that we got with it, like being able to run clothing stores and bakeries and photography studios. Though, yeah, it is kind of weird they patched in the photography skill with the cats and dogs updates. But yeah, for a while that was the only way to have the photography skill in your game. The active careers are also pretty nice, and I also gotta mention, yeah, it's really cool that you can have your Sims go and have their babies delivered now instead of it just being a rabbit hole. And I do like the active careers in general, so why is this so low on my list? Well, to be fair, I don't use the active careers as much these days, although I do appreciate their inclusion. And when you take the active careers out of the equation, that's more than half of the pack. You have the retail, which I don't actually use as much these days either, though I still use them more than the careers. And the aliens, I don't use as much either, which I'm sad to say, because in The Sims 3, the aliens were my favorite occult. But in The Sims 4, I feel like they're so watered down. Like, yeah, it's cool that they have the disguise feature, but there was just so much more to them in The Sims 3, and it's just like, oh, okay. And I definitely think 6M could have had a lot more potential. It's such a pretty world, and I feel like at least 80% of the player base hasn't seen it even once, and it's just like, oh, well, that's too bad. I mean, it is difficult to get to, but it's just so nice. It really feels so unique compared to what we even have right now in The Sims 4 with all the packs installed. So I think Get to Work overall is a pretty decent expansion pack and a tad underrated, but I really don't get as much use out of it as I thought I would.
Number 4.
Ah yes, City Living. So I gotta say, ranking number 4 and 3 on this list were the hardest ones for me to do. And I ended up putting City Living at number 4. So City Living, I would say, is a pretty decent expansion pack. I think actually my opinion on City Living changed kind of similar to how a lot of the community was with Get Together, where I definitely had some things to say about City Living while it was still being promoted before its release. But then after it came out, I ended up liking it more than I expected. Yeah, I still really wish that we could build apartments in other worlds, and it definitely does feel a bit too restricted, and San Myshuno feels like each district is a little too small, and the festivals I think leave a bit to be desired and are a bit glitchy, but I think City Living still has a lot to love about it. It introduced the concept of lot traits alongside its game update, so that was kind of an interesting touch. Not only do our Sims have traits, but now our lots do as well. And I do like the cultural aspect of this. It does make it stand out in comparison to Sims 3 Late Night, which I think is what a lot of people compare this expansion pack to. And I really love the singing skill and the karaoke. That's still something that I use quite a lot. And the video game consoles finally came back in City Living as well. So that is worth mentioning too. I have those in a lot of my households. I do like how there's trains going in the background of most of the neighborhoods, and there's just Sims walking around with coffee in hand in the Spice District. Just some really nice things that really help it feel more like a city. And of course I gotta mention the 3 new careers. This was the first time they did these hybrid sort of careers where you could choose to work from home if you wanted to, and you could do tasks out in the world for your shift instead of going into a rabbit hole. And the 3 new careers I think really help this city setting really come together too, because you have politician, social media, and critic. And getting back to San Myshuno, I really love how distinct each of the 4 districts are, because you have the Spice Market, which is like a good place to get your starter apartment, and has like those brownstone apartments, which is not really something you see in The Sims very often. And then you have the Arts Quarter, which is pretty self-explanatory, and then you have the Fashion District, where you have this very modern Japanese inspired sort of vibe, which I think is really cool looking. And then there's Uptown, and I think Uptown is very underrated. It's where all of the rich Sims in the city live, and it's really high up, and there's really not enough neighborhoods, in my opinion, in The Sims 4 that have such a vertical feeling like Uptown does. I think it's just so cool to be able to just look over the whole city and see the highway with the cars driving below and the helicopters flying around, and just seeing that as your sim takes a bath in the morning. It's just such a cool feeling. I love it so much. So in the end, I found a lot to love about city living. It's just that there are more restrictions than I would like, especially with a sandbox game like The Sims. And the expansion pack, both as a pro and a con, is very centered around the world of San Myshuno. It does help it give a distinct feeling compared to the other worlds, but then to its detriment, it's like, oh, yeah, we can't build apartments in other worlds. Well, that's not good. And yeah, it's also not good that the elevators are basically just glorified teleporters. So that was another thing I was really disappointed with.
Number 3.
So Get Famous ends up being the one to just barely make it into the top 3. Surprised? Honestly, I'm right there with you. I definitely, like with City Living, had some things to say about it when it was first announced. There's definitely some interesting stuff here. It's just like, I don't know, are they selling a game pack for $40? But fortunately for this expansion pack, at least in my opinion, the announced trailer really did not do this expansion pack justice at all. It didn't really show off how well Get Famous integrates with the main game, not just the fact that, oh, here's an acting career and your Sims can become famous now. There's also the return of the reputation system, which I know many people, including myself, were requesting to have back. It's one of those things where I really feel like it does give our Sims a little bit more depth, and it actually makes it feel like as if your actions in-game have some real consequences to them, rather than just everyone forgetting about whatever it was that you did a day later. And I love how many different ways there are to get famous this time around. It's not just, oh, sleep with a celebrity or do a certain career, even though acting does, in my experience anyway, help you boost fame a bit easier. And this even includes actions from previous expansion packs, like the singing that I mentioned from City Living. If you practice singing in public, you will gain some fame for that. Other ways include opportunities that are introduced once you get higher up in any of the other careers in the game, and you still can get a little bit of fame by interacting with celebrities, though it's not as weighted so much towards that like it was with The Sims 3. Though I'm not saying Get Famous is a perfect expansion pack, it does have some flaws to it. And to me, by far the biggest one is Del Sol Valley, because even though there's some nice things about it, it's so small. I thought Bridleton Bay was pretty small, but Del Sol Valley is smaller, and there's so few lots per district too. It's just like, okay, this is based off of Los Angeles, or at least inspired by it, yet it feels small, while Los Angeles is really big. Another thing is that, yes, I know, I get it, it's not easy to become famous in real life. Definitely not, unless you get really lucky. But I think they made it too hard, honestly. And it's kind of funny I say that, because I have said every now and again that with the later Sims games, they made things a little too easy, but with Get Famous and the fame system and reputation as well, it's also really hard to gain reputation, but I think they swung way too hard into the other direction, where now it's like too hard. It's like, okay, I know I don't want to instantly get famous from just singing once at a microphone out in public, but I feel like it should be a little bit easier to gain fame. I think I even had an easier time in The Sims Superstar getting my first fame star, so considering how difficult The Sims 1 is, that is saying a lot. And the fame decays pretty quickly too. With one of my Let's Play Sims, I did actually have to cheat her fame up to 1 star because she got very close to getting that first star, and then suddenly all of that progress just went back to 0 for really no particular reason other than maybe I wasn't grinding the fame grind hard enough, but it was just like, okay, this is too much. I am not going through all of that again just to get her up to 1 star of fame. But despite those 2 major flaws, I still really like Get Famous a lot, and it really does add more depth to my Sims, I think, with a real kind of social status. And while Del Sol Valley is small, I do kind of like what's there still, and the acting career is very nicely fleshed out. It's a really interesting sort of improvement over the active careers we got with Get to Work.
Number 2.
So currently, Cats and Dogs is my second favorite expansion pack for The Sims 4, and it's for good reason, even though I think it still fell short in a couple of areas, especially with the changed focus of it being only on cats and dogs compared to what The Sims 3 did with pets. I still think it turned out to be a really great expansion pack that I still use a lot to this day. I'm of the opinion that without the pets expansion packs for each Sims game, it just doesn't feel as alive. And the cats and dogs definitely feel very alive in The Sims 4 Cats and Dogs. And I do like how they did take some extra steps to make sure that the cats and dogs do feel more distinct from each other, with unique trait sets for each, along with some more subtle differences, like how if a cat and a dog are both trying to get to the same place, a cat's more willing to jump across tables and counters, while dogs will still run around them. Another major addition with this expansion pack is the ability to run your own vet clinic. And this is something I know a lot of people have been asking for, even since the Sims 1 days, so it's really nice to see those requests finally fulfilled. And I think it was done really well. I definitely enjoy it more than running the retail stores. There's definitely a nicer feel of progression, not only with the 5-star rating system that was introduced with the Dine Out game pack, but also the veterinarian skill. And Bridleton Bay, wow, this is my favorite world in The Sims 4 so far. Yeah, it's a little bit on the small side, but I love how realistic it looks and the quaint, cozy feel of it with the beach and everything. It's just so nice to play in. I was really hoping with the Pets expansion pack this time around we would get an East Coast inspired world, and they definitely delivered. Though one other controversial aspect that I gotta mention is that we don't get to control our pets like in The Sims 3. I mean, I kinda understand what the developers were saying when they said they wanted the pets to be realistic, but we don't even have a way of checking when the pet's birthday is. I think that's a little too extreme. And the creative pet, I gotta say, is so robust. I really love the variety of pets that you can make with it, especially with the drawing feature. It's too bad I'm not good at drawing, otherwise I would take better advantage of that. You can even make raccoons and foxes, and they have their own voices as well. Though I do think they really still, even though it's called Cats and Dogs, should have included more pets. Like my first pet stuff totally should have been in this. But overall, Cats and Dogs is a wonderful pack to me, and it just brought so much life to the game, which The Sims 4 desperately needed. And with that said, it's time to move on to
Number 1.
It's been a long, hard season. I'm feeling weary to my bones. I guess that's my reason. I've packed my bags and now I'm gone somewhere.
And here we are, Seasons takes the number 1 spot. And for me, this was a very easy decision. Ever since The Sims 2, Seasons has consistently become my favorite expansion pack. You may have noticed a pattern as I've been going through this list, and it's that the packs that I use the least tend to rank towards the bottom, and the ones that I use most tend to take the top spots. And with Seasons, What I really love about it is that it always brings such sweeping changes to the game, no matter whether you're playing as a single sim or as a huge 8-sim family. Seasons will bring weather to your game, and it will affect your day-to-day life. And that's a big difference compared to expansions like Get to Work, where I feel like you really need to go out of your way to experience that content. But with Seasons, it's gonna happen, whether you want it to or not. Though sadly there was a pretty controversial design decision with this expansion pack too, and it's the lack of truly deep snow. To some that may not matter, but especially as someone who lives in Canada where we do get a lot of snow during the winter and there absolutely is a difference when there's deep snow, definitely takes away the realism from me a bit. Though what is there with the weather effects I think was done pretty well. The thunderstorms look pretty epic when they get pretty bad, and having like the rain go sideways and everything. And I love how this time around they actually set up different climates and weather patterns for each world. Like for example, I see rain a lot more often in Brindleton Bay in comparison to Willow Creek. And if you're playing in winter and your sim is in Oasis Springs, then chances are you're not going to see any snow on the ground. Maybe it's going to be a little bit cold, but other than that, yeah, not really too wintry. But then when you hop over to Windenburg, then yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of snow on the ground. I also like the new gardener career. It does work in a very similar fashion to the careers that we got with City Living, but I think the most important addition with Seasons, other than the weather, is the calendar feature. This is a first for the series, and it's a pretty powerful feature because you can use it to keep track of the days that your sim needs to go to work or school. You can plan parties in advance instead of it just being right away. But you can also make your own custom holidays. And this is great, especially for a game that is really pushing for diversity. You can have your own sort of custom holidays if you feel like your holidays aren't really represented. There's many different possibilities with it, and it encourages my Sims to be a bit more social as well. It's not really something that I do enough, so that's a huge plus for me as well. So overall, I think Seasons is an amazing expansion pack, and definitely needs to be in your collection if it's not already. It adds so much life to the game in a similar fashion to Cats and Dogs, but in the case of Cats and Dogs, you need to get a pet in order to do that unless you run into a stray or something. But with Seasons, it will affect your everyday life, and it just refreshes the game in a way that I think very few expansion packs do. And there you have it. That's my rankings for the expansion packs released for The Sims 4 as of December 2018. So overall, I guess I would say it's a mixed bag, though it doesn't quite stand out as much as the stuff pack since there's way more of those. But yeah, every expansion pack at least has some good things that are worth having in the game. But I think the expansion packs have overall gotten better over the years, so hopefully that continues into 2019 and beyond. And be sure to leave a like or a comment or even subscribe because it lets me know that you like my channel, my videos, and it helps to keep up to date with my latest content from The Sims, Sonic the Hedgehog, and more. So I will talk to you all later and have a great day. Thanks for watching. I have a seagull on my arm.